Hi everyone, this is a banner analysis featuring the upcoming banner with a rerun of Vaan's LDBT weapon and Arciela's LD. I'll start off by covering a little bit about Vaan. Vaan's role is primarily a magic-based DPS character. His S1 and S2 hits fairly hard and will always hit for elemental weakness damage even if the boss does not have any elemental imperil or does not have any inherent weaknesses. On top of that, his LD provides him an LD buff that provides free skill users of his S1, S2 or additional ability as long as the LD buff is still up. One of the good things that will change about him is that his LD buff will now last a single turn longer, so 4 turns instead of 3, which equates to more skill users or more free skill users over the course of the fight, which is especially useful during burst mode. His C90 also significantly upgrades his EX, where his Pyroclasm ++ will now be initiated twice, and as a result of that hits fairly hard. Overall, Vaan is fairly easy to play as his playstyle revolves around getting his LD buff up and then spamming his S1 or S2 skill users while they are free. In terms of cons, there really isn't anything too bad about Vaan. I guess the only thing that goes against him now is that this exact banner is a rerun, so there's no new weapons on this banner. And in terms of damage dealers, at the current point in time, there are plentiful options for damage dealers as well. And while Vaan's damage is overall solid, he isn't exactly breaking the meta with his damage. And so, his damage is roughly on par with other damage dealers in the current era. As a burst weapon user as well, he does require quite a steep investment in terms of burst ingots and high armor ingots. Overall, I guess if you like Vaan as a character, or if you really feel that you need a solid damage dealer to fill in the ranks in your roster, then certainly you can't really go wrong with Vaan. He does pretty dependable damage, he is pretty consistent, and he is pretty straightforward to use. The next character I want to quickly touch on this banner would of course be Arciela. Arciela's role is mainly as a support with various kinds of utility built into her kit. First of all, she is one of only 2 characters in the game able to inflict HP attack disable, the other character being Kefka, and that's a pretty good utility to have. Being able to inflict HP attack disable can actually lock down certain fights. The good thing about her is that you also gain access to the HP attack disable debuff through her base call as well. Secondly, she's also able to actually dispel all enemies' buffs, and that is actually still quite an uncommon utility to have. Not many characters in the game can actually dispel buffs. Thirdly, her EX also provides burst healing to the party, and while it is probably not the best heal or the strongest heal in the game, I think having that in her arsenal is a bonus for her. There isn't really a lot of bad things to say about Arciela either. I guess one of the things that you do have to consider is that her buff dispelling utility does require her to be in the party. It's not accessible through her calls. There really isn't a lot of fights that actually do require HP attack disable as well. In the current meta where we are in the so-called garbage time, most of the Lufenia Plus fights, which is the current endgame content, can easily be completed in no boss turns, or in other words by just steamrolling down the bosses. Also, she of course faces very stiff competition from other support characters, especially those with access to BT weapons. And currently, many people actually set either Garden or Ramza as their friend support anyway. And just having either one as a friend support will probably fulfill your needs for a support character. So there really isn't a lot of need to actually pull for Arciela at this current point in time. The timing is also a little bit unfortunate for her in my opinion, because this banner is also released alongside with Karen's LDBT banner. And my current thought process is, if you really want a very strong support character, why not just go for Karen, because Karen's auras are pretty noticeable in terms of the BT aura that he gets. I guess on the other hand, not having access to a burst weapon does make her a fairly low investment character to work. You can just get her EX and LD and maybe get her base high armor, and she should do fairly well and fit her purpose as a support character. So what's the value of this banner? For new players, I think it's actually a very solid banner to pull on, mainly because of how straightforward both Vaan and Arciela are as units. However, for new players, you would also be having Vaan competing with Karen for your BT and high armor ingots, and that's a tough decision to make. If you do have the resources to spare though, both the Karen and the Vaan banner offer a good mix of units overall. You could potentially build a party of, say, Karen as your primary support, Vaan as your main damage dealer, and either General Leo or Arciela as your third unit with utility. For veteran players, I actually think the value of the banner drops tremendously. For one thing, all the weapons on this banner are rerun weapons, so there's a high likelihood that you may already have a number of the weapons here, making it less value for you to spend your gems and tickets on this banner. On top of that, you'll likely already have access to the meta supports that are Garnet and Ramza, which makes Arciela a lot less desirable. Lastly, it's going to be difficult to justify spending ingots or BT ingots on Vaan to green him, considering that his damage output, while very good, it's pretty much, in my opinion, very comparable to other top tier DPS units anyway. And you could just save the BT ingots and use the other DPS units you may have already built. So that's it for this video. As always, if you enjoy the content, please leave a like, comment or subscribe. It really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!